Welcome once again, beloved friends, followers, and fairies, wizard, warrior, wanderer, and wayfarer alike. All are welcome to the Frank Monday Live Drive Archives. I am your host, Sir Francis Lunis Aristeas. Frank Monday is taking the day off, folks, while I, Sir Francis, will entertain you and regale you with tales of the paranormal. Last night in Dreamland, I was visited by a collection of wondrous, wandering, wiggly lizards. They were eating away at the foundations of my old home. The boards were rotting, the gambrel roof was sagging, the shadowy cobwebbed halls of that old country home were moaning and groaning under the fulsome wind blown about on dry breath. No, Jeff. Everything is not okay. I'm not ready to tell the story yet, though. I've been trying to contact you via email. I got on my laptop last night, but I realized it was my Lunar Light Entertainment desktop, and just didn't have the energy to get into it, man. I tried to respond to all of this here on the boob tube. So if I missed one of your guys' messages on the boob tube, if I missed one of your messages on a recent video, ask for 1,000 pardons. I've been out of sorts recently. I received most dire and dreadful news, and as a result, I've been in a bit of a funk. But that's okay. I'm breaking through with powerful summonings of dark magic indeed. It's the first time I've sought to utilize the incantations of the ancient grimoires of the most darkest nature. I have called upon great Lord and God of the underworld, Cthulhu, and asked him for counsel. I have called upon Knockethorlept, the haunter of the dark, shambler from the stars, to come down and exact swift justice on those who betrayed me. I have called upon some of the elder gods and dark lords, and I've beseeched them to tell me why, oh why, great elder gods and elder ones, why is our world under such a dark spell? And what can I do? I am not their servant, and I do not beseech them often, but there has been time and occasion to do so, and now is one of those. Frank Monday would not approve with his angelic magic when we unleash the ferocity of the Furies upon our enemies. Believe me, there will be dark retribution. And it is sad to say, but the blasted tower is no joke, dear friends, and you should not betray the Grand Wizard, especially when in past times he has walked among you, bells twinkling, and bestowed his kindness and his love unconditionally and in great abundance. But such treachery will not go left unaddressed, for the underworld has a place for all those who betray. And we've opened Dante's Inferno and looked into the pages and saw the hell that awaits people who do such things to their beloved when they are away. But people are often blinded by profit. Hello, Chris A. Good to see you. Sadly, Chris A. Frank Monday is not here today. He's taking the day off. I, Sir Francis Lunis Aristatus of the Ordo Templi Astarte, am filling in for him. I hope you enjoy the dark, dreary, Lovecraftian environment that I bring with me, brooding, malignant, odious, and fulsome as it may be. Occasionally, it is necessary to go into the ancient chambers and the shadowy past and call up dark god Cthulhu and bring him forth for retribution and great vengeance against thine enemies. And he has heard my call, and though great Cthulhu slumbers in his deep home at sunken Rillier, he dreams, and he dreams on. He has reassured me that my dreams and hopes and visions of the future are not dead, and that he will rise again one day and conquer the world. It will be a greater city than Innsmouth and those backwater towns where the minions of the lesser gods think that they can prey upon the old wizard's tower without retribution. They will be brought to justice, and it will be a dark and odious justice. And they think that their existence, their painful existence, is loathsome now. It will become even more vile and loathsome and long enduring. For the furious wrath of the elder gods is a thing to behold. In fact, this very Lovecraftian storm I have brought down from the heavens to hear me roar. And we are preparing dark magics, my friend. The wheels are turning. I hope thou farest well, dear traveler, wanderer. Hast thou traveled far? Only from east to west and back again. Yeah, I got your messages, man. I responded to some of your messages, and I think I responded to some of Monsieur Tiedrich's messages, but I didn't get into the emails yet. I'm looking forward to getting into the emails. We're forming a Lovecraftian circle. David Guagamela is a an amateur short story writer. He sent me a story called Mr. Ghost, and I'm looking forward to opening it up, but I did not have the opportunity as of yet to do so. Okay, good. Yeah. I was hoping you did. I got up there and I checked this morning. It looked like you had already uh, saw them. I don't know if you know, I go back and I check through the videos either the day of or the day after. Sometimes it takes YouTube so long to like put one of my live streams from processing into published, and like sometimes they never appear on my page. So I look around on my laptop, I look on my iPad, I look on my phone, and they all look different, right? And I try to figure out where everything's gone, but I think I finally found um, most of your guys' messages. um, yeah, I never apologize for writing long messages, Chris. I love them. You know, I'm a reader of all kinds of literature, and I consider our relationship like that of anybody who corresponds with me. I consider it like that of The Whisperer in Darkness. I don't know if you've ever enjoyed Lovecraft's story, The Whisperer in Darkness, but it's a really good one. Um, so it turns out that in The Whisperer in Darkness, the ill-fated and benighted ancient planet Yuggoth at the furthest rotations of our solar system is Pluto. So Pluto, um, Lovecraft wrote about Yuggoth and the Whisperer in Darkness before Pluto was discovered. And so he had an interest in astronomy. And if you ever read any of Lovecraft's academic writing or his poetry, like it's far different than his short stories. So he wrote in the vein of cosmic horror, but he was actually a quite proficient academic writer. And in his academic writing, he actually like claims to be like an atheist and all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's neither here nor there. I mean, does it really matter? Does the character of the writer or the transmitter of the message really matter that much? Like my old Shifu said, he said you should focus more on the teaching and the message than the individual. I'm like, but I get into the individual too. He's like, you don't want to be guilty of like cultish hero worship. And I said, but that's part of it. It's the achievement of the individual that attracts you to their teaching and their practice. And so he said, you'll often be disappointed if you do that. And so it's true. Like if you fall in love with the guru and you look too closely, you'll figure out that he's just a man that's worked hard, you know? Yeah, yeah. Somehow you want to research them. Like I recommended Neville Goddard's material, and it turns out he's a guy. So I did some basic Wikipedia research on him, and I did some other research too. Um, like I don't even know what you would call that. I read web pages about him, and I got into a whole. And it turns out a whole like new Christian movement started from his some of his writings and other guys at the time. But here's an interesting aspect that I didn't know. You're reading it right now. Good, yeah, cool. About 2/3 through. Good man. It's a good one, I think. It's very concise and clear and easy to understand. It's kind of redundant, a little bit repetitive. Like he keeps reinforcing that consciousness. You use the conscious ideation of the mind to impress things into the subconscious, and then the subconscious brings about those magical results, right? And in my system of magic, we use a very similar process, but it's 3 levels. It's the E, the attention, the fixed attention, the critical factor at the upper Dantian, and that impresses upon the realm of the subconscious that's at the center Dantian, right? You can move the E into any of the Dantians, but this is how I break it down. And then that passion and drive, that vitality, that human realm starts to be the catalyst that brings about those things. But it's really the receptive area of it too. And then it goes down further into the lower Dantian, which is the unconscious function of the mind or the divine spark. So in codifying these things into language does not convey their reality. And that's the problem we constantly face with. We're constantly faced with in metaphysics. Welcome back, Jeff. Good to see you again. Hey guys, can I get you to hit the thumbs up? The YouTube is showing 0 thumbs up. On the last video, I could only get 1 out of 5 people to hit the thumbs up. So that was kind of a low ratio. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for whoever did that. I know it's kind of iffy about hitting thumbs ups on people's videos because that puts it into a record on your account. I never knew that before, but did you know there's a file on YouTube called your liked videos? I think mine only has something like three or 4,000 in it or something now, but I didn't realize they were keeping track of all of your like thingies. I thought that was just a fun thing to help for the creator. What is a Dantian? Oh, good question, Jeff. Um, yeah, yeah, you could check your history. Like go into your YouTube pages or whatever and check your history or your playlists or something. I think it's under playlists. And if you go in there, there'll be an entire category called liked videos, and it'll have every video that you've ever hit a thumbs up on. Like I said, I think mine's got about 3,000 in it. And I'm like, I've only hit the button 3,000 times? Huh. That doesn't seem like much. Yeah, yeah, check it out. It'd be funny. I try to do it with everyone I like DJ, Esoterica, uh, Bright Insight, whoever else, man. You, Chris, whoever else. Whoever follows me, remember I always say, follow me and I'll follow you back. So the Dantians, Jeff, um, it is Mercurial meetups today. So I'm planning on doing another live stream later because I have a little time before lunch at school where I normally do like office related tasks. But today, because the kids are all preparing for their final exams of the year, I have a little bit of free time. So I'm going to do that. Um, I printed up the Neville Goddard material last night. Feeling is the secret. And then I got into the website that hosts a lot of his material and looked, he wrote about 10 pamphlets on this same idea, and over time he refined it. So 1944 was not his first pamphlet. I think it was like his second or third, something like that. His first pamphlet is basically just like an Abramelin or Aladdin's lamp. It's basically just like wish magic, really simplified. I think only like 15 pages or something. Um, so he was an interesting fellow. He only lived to like 57, I think, which isn't, hugely instrumental, but I mention it because he was born at the end of the 19th century, but he had his material was deeply influenced by Ralph Waldo Emerson and the other guy, one of my other favorite transcendentalists. So they were bringing the American transcendentalist movement forward, and transcendentalism kind of morphed into spiritualism and what they called the New Thought movement or something like that. But it basically became like this esoteric Christian movement. And so this Neville Goddard, his magnum opus, I believe, I got into reading last night, and he says that the Bible is entirely metaphor and allegory, and an um it's not a historical record, it's a book of magic. And he shows you how every story has a reference to mind magic, and he's a pretty smart guy. Like, I had never seen the interpretations that he uses for some of the old biblical stories in the way that he presents them, and it's fascinating to think about. And he said that it's deeply encoded in Hebrew, and that he makes reference to all of the Hebrew names and stuff throughout his later material. So it's some pretty high level stuff. I'll definitely get into it at some point. Um, but he starts off with Yud He Vahe, the name of Yahweh, like the ultimate name of God, what in Hermetic science we call the Tetragrammaton, right? And he gives a really cool explanation of it. And then he gets into Yeshua, like the Son of God, and how those things are applicable in the realm of the mind and in the realm of magic. He doesn't come right out and say magic ever. Um, Not that I've seen yet, but he ties it all back to everything rooted in consciousness. Anyway, really good stuff. So I'm glad that I recommended it for today's Mercurial meetup. But again, I'm Sir Francis Lunas is lurking behind the scenes, trying to undermine me. Well, no, he's upset about what happened back at the Wizard's Tower, and so I'm working my high magic to make things happen a little faster. Yeah, it's interesting because desire is usually frowned upon in like, your ordinary contemporary Christian circles, right? They're like, "Oh, it's of the devil, it's evil." Yeah. Well, and what's wrong with that? I mean, embrace the devil within sometimes, right? You're manifesting in the material world because you want to do great work and you're going to need some money to do that, right? You're going to need a power base and you're going to need multiple secure headquarters. And if you want to be a good man and help other people, well, you're going to have to make yourself responsible for doing that, right? You're going to have to be healthy and strong and forthright and upright, and you're going to have to do good work, and do good magic in order to make those. And you got to be cheerful. I've been getting back into my Boy Scout material too. Um, I think the desire, it inflames us, it empowers us. It's the first part of the name of the Tetragrammaton is the passionate animalistic desire, the yud, the hand, right? The jerking hand, the pointing finger, you know. That's a part of it. You gotta grab that magic wand by the base and get that whip that thing out, and start creation. Set everything back into motion again. Um, the mentality of not being desirous, that's not necessarily good. Yeah, so you're familiar with magic, right, Chris? Because I know I've heard you talk about it in the past. So you know the four tools of the Magi, right? The uh, the wand, the cup, the athame, and the pentacle, right? And you know what they represent. Is that correct? Yeah, that's true. Our desires are sometimes thwarted. Yeah, you don't have to correct stuff like that, man. I could see typos a mile away. I'm a proofreader. The whole first part of my early career was proofreading Master Knees material. I was one of the only person that could read his handwriting. When I worked for him as a editor and proofreader and secretary. Okay. Yeah, so you're familiar with the four basic Kabbalistic elements, right? Fire, water, air, and earth. So in the scientific realm, they are the plasma, the liquid, the gas, and the solid, right? And then we have the fifth element, spirit, which is the aether. So the point I was making is that in the fourfold name of God, the Tetragrammaton, the Yud He Vah He, the Yud is hand in Hebrew, but it represents the element of fire. And so the first thing God is doing, or consciousness is doing, is desire and illuminating, right? And then the reflection of that illumination, the Shekinah. So the first thing we experience in the material sphere is the dichotomy of duality, right? Our desire and it being reflected back to us by our subconscious mind and the world, Shekinah, woman, our wife, right? I know you're a married man, right, Chris? And I do believe you refer to your partner as your wife. I don't know if that's a traditional type thing or if it's some new age type thing, which either way, it doesn't matter, right? We got about 10 minutes, man. Yeah, getting into deep topics takes longer than a 20-minute video. You know what I mean? Okay, good man. Nothing wrong with that. Um, I'm actually a certified mentor of the Universal Society of the Integral Way, and according to California law, um, I can consecrate marriages with Taoist marriage ceremonies. Um, I've never done it, but I'm willing to do it if anybody's interested. I can consecrate marriages. I can do funeral proceedings. I can do everything that a regular priest or pope can do. I've got my Pope card from Robert Anton Wilson from Discordia. I could do that, the Church of Discordia. I'm a member of the I'm only a neophyte in Poke Runyon's temple, so I don't know if that entitles me to do religious ceremonies or not, but yeah, that would be fun, man. Um, I'd like to make a trip out to England in the future. At $12,000 a ticket, though, I don't feel like I'm going to be going anywhere anytime soon. My school is saying that they might pay for my ticket home this summer because they know how desperate everyone is. I would do it, man. If any of you guys were interested in me showing up, it would people would accuse me of cultural appropriation though, because my wizard's robes do have a very oriental flair. I could show you guys some pictures. I should work more on my buymeacoffee.com/ Frank Monday page and put more like pictures of my robes and stuff. I've got black funeral robes that are Chinese. I've got all the hats and stuff. I've got a yarmulke style hat that I use for magic. I've got magic hats and robes. I've got a really beautiful set of red, white, and blue robes that look like they look dynamite, like ultra maga, but they're totally Tang style Chinese. And I think that might ruffle some feathers. They'd be like, "Isn't this guy guilty of cultural appropriation?" I'm like one of the old school cultural appropriators. When I was a little kid, man, I was getting into funk and thinking I was all ghetto and shit and gangster rap, and I was culturally appropriating the black ghetto baby culture. And then when I got into Hessian stuff, I started returning to my roots and getting into Celtic and Viking and Iron Maiden, Megadeth, fucking Slayer. And then when I hit my teen years, I got into the Chinese kung fu. So I went from karate to taekwondo and then finally kung fu. And when I got into kung fu, man, by the time I was 15, I was growing my hair into a queue, braiding it daily, doing my push-ups, doing my sword, wearing Chinese robes, speaking Chinese at a basic level, just what I could teach myself from books. But every Chinese person I would meet, I would walk up to them and be like, "Hey, are you Chinese?" And they'd be like, "No, no, no, I'm Vietnamese. No, 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 I'm Korean. No, 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 I'm Japanese." And so I was hanging out in Chinese restaurants and you know cultural appropriation on Chinese and they love it, man. The Chinese don't give a fuck if and the Japanese too. Like when you put on their old traditional garments and stuff, they're so honored by that. They consider imitation to be the highest form of flattery. And so there's nothing wrong with cultural appropriation. I think this whole modern mindset in America is fucking madness, man. It's a madness of miasma. David Guagamela, did you send me the story, man? Because I did not check. Yeah, we'll do it on YouTube. That would be fantastic. I mean, I have books of rites and incantations and ceremonial language that I could use in English that's already been translated from Master Ni and Mantak Chia and other great Taoist writers. And I could put together a really dynamite ceremony. Get out the gong, boom, strike the gong, burn the incense, make a fiery sacrifice to heaven. If you were into that, we could go full on Chinese, or we could just go syncretized, synthesized Occidental and Oriental. Because my real flavor is a clever combination of the profane and the sacred and the two systems, Occidental and Oriental. So East meets West, and my children are the perfect representation of that. Good man. Thank you. Oh, he sent it to Irish Lad. That was the one. I got like 4 email addresses, and that's the only one I haven't checked yet because it requires me being at my desktop at home. So I will definitely do that. I was gonna do it yesterday, but I got home and I was fucking exhausted, man. And I actually had schoolwork I had to do and shit. But I did finally get in and start responding to comments on my videos. So I'm glad I got that work done. I had a really couple of good ones from Chris that he sent in. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, guys. That really helps out. And when the video posts to the channel later, come back and leave a comment. Today is Mercurial Meetups. So if you guys are up, my break today is at around 9:30, 10 o'clock. So it's 7 o'clock right now. So plan that if you're still uh, around in a couple of hours, I'm going to go live again and present more material from the Neville Goddard pamphlet that I suggested. So if you did read the material, and I think Chris said he's reading it right now, we'll talk about it today and tomorrow. And then we'll be done with it because it's a short one. Yeah, you know, Chris, you need to start getting better hours, man. I don't know when you sleep, but I hope you're getting enough sleep, man. Sleep is it's an activity that really recharges you. Like I got a pimple right here. I noticed this pimple yesterday, and then I noticed my daughter had a pimple in exactly the same spot. And I'm like, honey, we've got matching pimples. Good God, my daughter's 15 now, guys. She's almost sweet 16. Okay, I will read it and I will critique it. And I'll do my best to critique it in a professional proofreader type manner, an editor, like an editor. I'll serve as your editor, David Guatemala, and your who is the person that helps a writer improve his work? And nobody wants to hear that their work needs improving, but all work can use feedback. Peer review. We'll call it peer review, David, because I believe that we're probably peers. I think we're close to the same age. I do believe you're a little older than me, David. Not an editor, yeoman. A yeoman? My first job was editing, man, and proofreading, and then typing when I was in my 20s. My sister Michelle, one of my older sisters, she taught me stenography when I was like 12, like 11, 10 or 11. She was studying to be a court stenographer, and she taught me how to read stenograph paper and how to transcribe it. So she would do her stenograph, right? And then I would do her transcripts. And she taught me how to do that when I was a boy. And so the one thing it did help me learn was to type. Her and my mother both taught me to type and how to read stenography. I didn't stick with it though. I saw the future. I fell into a deep fever when I was really young, and I saw the technology of the future, like iPads and shit. I saw all of it, and I knew that her job would ultimately be replaced by computer technology, and so I didn't waste my time with it. But I did learn to type well, so that's good. I can type, I can still type about 55, 60 words a minute. I never got great. On a stenograph machine, my sister qualified in California for stenography, which is the hardest state in the nation to qualify for. You have to type at 225 words per minute. And some of those stenographers range from 225 words per minute to 270 words per minute. Yeah. I remember you told me that, David. That's right. And yeah, and I believe that, Chris, I think you're a little younger than me. Is that right? No, he sent me a short story, Chris. Um, we're exchanging short stories. What intel have you received, David? Jeff? Jeff's got intel, guys. Breaking news coming out of Happy Land. I've received this intel from a buddy of mine. Sounds exciting. Okay, wow, we're the same age, man. I'm 47 this year. So we're the same age, Chris. That's fantastic, man. We should I need to exchange more emails with you too, Chris, because um I know you don't necessarily like Gmail. Maybe I'll try to respond from my Yahoo account to you, Chris. But I've got you on Gothic Irish Lad, and I had an old Gothic Irish Lad Yahoo account, but I've lost it. It's passed away. Gmails are fine. All right, yeah. We don't got to worry too much. The algorithm's going to watch us no matter what. Um, the U.S. intelligence agency said that they have full spectrum dominance, which means they're watching everything. So whether you're using Proton Mail or Yahoo or AOL or whatever, they're watching all of it, you know. So it's not like we can hide. Um, and we do enough self-censoring already anyway that I don't think they really give a fuck about us. It doesn't mean we should accept it. We should still spiritually fight back and be like, fuck you. You know, you don't have any right. We have rights to privacy. Yeah, I agree with you, man. What's the breaking news, Jeff? 6 months to a year. The narrator haunts the ghost. In my short story, the narrator haunts the ghost. Huh. The narrator haunts the ghost. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, Jeff, I've been talking to you, man. I said, what's going on? What's the breaking news? No, you're not being censored. Monsieur Tiedrick, what's the news, brother? Tell us. I've been asking. I don't think you're paying attention to me, Jeff. um, yeah, that's what I'm interested in, David. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And now that you've sent me one over, I need to send you one back. Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. Yeah, I could do it from the ghost's point of view, or we'll see. I'll just what I'll do, David, is I'm going to go through your stuff, and I'm going to give you any commentary. I think any notes, right? That's what we call them, notes. So peer review notes, and then I'll send those to you, right? And then I will write a equivalent story in response, like approximately the same style, or in my own style, of course. But then um, either continuing the story or further developing the story. Yeah, dueling chapters. Yeah, like a couple of old country bumpkins out on the porch, dueling it out with the banjos. Right? That sounds good, man. Yeah, Chris A is right, Jeff. The last thing you said was um 6 months to a year. Here's what you said. You said let me see. 6 months to a year. I'm receiving intel from a buddy. I have intel in 6 months to a year. Wow, you are being censored then. That's right. Pay attention if it has any foul language or links or wow, that's interesting, Jeff. Yeah, mess up the spelling of the keywords. Yeah, you have to learn how to write in code. Huh. Yeah, you got to learn to write in code, man. If you're releasing breaking news that they don't want us to know about, then the only way to do it is phonetically. You have to work your way around the algorithms. We are being monitored real time by all kinds of robots, man. So there you have confirmation from both me and Chris that it has not appeared in the chat. I can't see it in the chat. And Chris either. So yeah, you're being censored, man. Susan is chastising you. You better watch your back, brother. It's funny because unless you're posting videos and unless you're a content creator, a community strike wouldn't really mean anything to you. You'd be like, who gives a fuck? All I do is watch YouTube anyway. They only punish the people who make content. Guys, I got to run, man. I'm late for breakfast already. I stayed down here longer than I should have. I apologize. The time is limited, but that's the way it goes, man. First your money, then your clothes. I appreciate y'all good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land. Lots of love to you. Thanks for all the recent messages, Chris. They've helped a lot with the miasma I'm feeling. And thank you for sending me your story, David. We will be the dueling